Hello there and a very good evening to you. Many thanks for joining us on SuperScreen News at 8, broadcasting to you live from Lagos. I am Adinike Uweye Ajiboye. The Edo local government elections held today experienced a late arrival of voting materials. The election, which was conducted by State Independent Electoral Commission, ETSEC, is for the position of the chairman and councillorship in the state. 10 political parties are partaking in the exercise. The main opposition, People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the state, was alleged to boycott the election and has already filed a suit in court challenging the conduct of the exercise by the state electoral body. In a related development, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, John Oyegun, has berated the People's Democratic Party for boycotting the Edo State local government election. The PDP had vowed not to participate in the election, claiming that it did not have confidence in the Edo State Independent Electoral Commission and urged the voters to shun the exercise. The party had also challenged the alleged unlawful amendment of a notice of election from 90 to 45 days by the House of Assembly before a state high court. Oyegun, who disclosed this to journalists shortly after casting his vote in Ward 2, Unit 2, Oredo local government area of the state, described the opposition party's withdrawal as silly. He said the PDP had only done itself more harm, as the election would have provided an opportunity for the opposition party to mobilize its supporters. Now, 3 former ministers are leading an evacuation of top People's Democratic Party PDP members to a new party after efforts to heal the wounds of the last national convention of the party hit the rocks. They are the former Information Minister Jerry Yana, former Education Minister Tunde Adeniro, and former Niger Delta Minister Godstay Orubebe. These top PDP members are moving to the Social Democratic Party, SDP, which is merging with the People's Redemption Party, PRP, the People's Salvation Party, PSP, to form a formidable party ahead of the next year's elections. Reporter Ev says more chieftains of the party are expected to join these ministers. Ahead of the 2019 general elections, more than 2,000 members of the All Progressives Congress, APC, in Rivers State have officially defected to the People's Democratic Party, PDP. The group, under the auspices of the Ikwere Youth Movement from the 4 Ikwere-speaking parts of the state, formally announced their defection in an event organized by the party.
Members of the Ikwere Youth Movement, which cut across Ikwere, Emuha, Obiam, Akwa, and Port Harcourt local government areas, accused the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, of marginalizing them as they made their defection to the opposition party official. Speaking to journalists in Port Harcourt, Vice Chairman of the group, Chijoke Ajaninwa, pledged to work with the PDP administration to transform the state's fortune for good.
They suffer. They're too much. As I'm standing here today, I play my politics not because of money. I'm a full bona fide IYM member. But ever since, nothing has been happening.
I want to promise you that after today, we'll take this information down to the grassroots. We'll walk down every area.
I have been in darkness, and just one word, Jesus Christ said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And Wicca has declared that in Ward 12 there in Obiabo at large, let there be light. Chidi is out of darkness. We are in for the progress of River State. That the members of IYM there have today declared and denounced.
On his part, Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Samuel Nwanosike charged the newly defected members to ensure full participation in the ongoing continuous voter registration and express their constitutional rights next year.
If you know you don't have a PVC card, it's an opportunity for you to go to INEC and get your PVC card ready. Because come 2019, we will use our PVC cards to vote out all ABC candidates. What you have done today with your leaders, Chijoke and Cole, you have sent a message to Abuja. Leadership is not made by man, it's made by God. The leadership of Chief Barrister Nyesom Wike is made by God. And that is why the dividend today is very obvious for all to see. As you have come, get prepared to continue the struggle.
The leaders of the People's Democratic Party in the state assured the new members of equal opportunities in the party.
The coordinator of Kwara Rescue Alliance, Abdul Salam Ibrahim, says 70 political youth groups in Kwara State have formed an alliance to unseat the Senate President Bukola Saraki due to alleged bad governance and misrule. Ibrahim said residents of the state are yet to enjoy dividends of democracy as assured under the Saraki dynasty. As a result, they say there is an urgent need to liberate the people from misrule. He also said the group was also poised to unseat Saraki's loyalists and cronies in the state's governance. Ibrahim, who disclosed this to journalists, also accused the governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed-led government of ineptitude and lack of commitment to the welfare of residents of the state. He, however, stressed that the alliance was to reposition the opposition and make it more vibrant so that there would be a change of government in 2019. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says 3 aid workers have been killed, with one missing, those suspected to be abducted in the Boko Haram attack in Iran, Borno State. The 8 workers were killed when the terrorist attack at Camp Hausen, internally displaced persons, IDPs. Many of the IDPs are said to be injured in the attack. 8 soldiers were also alleged to have been killed, but there is no immediate official confirmation. Report says the injured and missing are women, maintaining that all those involved are Nigerians. Now, Doctors Without Borders, known by its French initials as MSF, has suspended its medical activities in Iran after a deadly attack on 8 workers by suspected Boko Haram fighters in the area. The announcement came hours after an attack on a military base in Iran, which is located in Borno State, killed at least 2 aid workers, a doctor, and 8 members of the security forces. Following the violent attack, Medicine Sans Frontiers, MSF, suspended its medical activities in the town and evacuated 22 national and international staff. In the wake of the Dapchi schoolgirls' abduction, the National Commandant of the Peace Corps of Nigeria, Dixon Akol, says the organization will do a good job in solving the current challenge of ensuring safer schools throughout the country. Akol disclosed this in Abuja while addressing journalists at the joint meeting of Peace Corps of Nigeria Board of Trustees, the National Executive Council, and Council of Commandants.
The National Commandant of the Peace Corps of Nigeria said government's plan of engaging the service of armed men to secure schools may be counterproductive. According to him, the country is already debating on how best the nation's schools and colleges can be made safer.
Our attention was drawn to the fact that the Minister of Interior has directed the police and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps to deploy their manpower to schools and colleges in the Northeast with arms. The country may not appreciate the potential damage that will accompany invading schools and colleges with arms. You know the psychological implication on our youth, and they tend to learn faster. One of the reasons why we have high level of insecurity in Nigeria today is the proliferation of arms into the society.
The National Commandant of the Peace Corps further said he has no hard feelings over President Muhammadu Buhari's decision to decline assent to the PCN bill, noting that the organization remains fully operational.
Whether Mr. President signed the bill or not, we will continue to operate as an non-governmental organization. Bearing in mind that the only essence of us approaching the National Assembly is for the organization, is for what we are doing to be given a statutory backing, so that because we protect the interests of young Nigerians, they will be able to derive funding, salaries, remuneration from the government. So as far as we are concerned now, nothing has derailed our functioning and activities as Peace Corps of Nigeria.
ACO, however, expressed optimism that the Peace Corps bill will yield positive acceptance results worthy of a presidential approval.
Meanwhile, the United Nations UN has condemned the killing of 3 aid workers by Boko Haram terrorists in Ramtown, Borno State in northeastern Nigeria. Reacting to the killing in a statement, the UN humanitarian coordinator in Nigeria, Edward Callon, urged the federal government to ensure the attackers are brought to book. Reports, however, says 2 deceased aid workers were contractors with the International Organization for Migration working as coordinators in the camp for 55,000 IDPs who have fled their homes as a result of the insurgency. The other deceased aid worker is said to be a medical doctor employed as a third-party consultant with UNICEF. The UN was also worried about other civilians who may have been injured or killed in the attack, noting that the crisis seemed not to be ending soon. The Lagos State Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, says 56,767 driving licenses are yet to be collected by their owners. FRSC official Omejeku discussed this to journalists, urged the owners of the licenses to collect them, saying the command will soon embark on an operation tagged Operation Show Your Driving License in the state. He also said that the Corps would embark on the mission across all units of the command so that motorists will come to collect their driving licenses. According to him, the fine for a driver driving without a valid license is 10,000 naira, and the offender must produce the license within 24 hours. Omeje said that if after 24 hours such offender could not produce a valid license, the vehicle of such offender would be impounded. He also said that in such situation, it would be assumed that the driver was not licensed to drive. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has declared the post-unified tertiary matriculation examination post-UTME conducted by universities, polytechnics and colleges of education in Nigeria as illegal. The court said there was no extant law authorizing the exercise. The report also said the court held that only the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board (JAMB) could conduct matriculation examinations and give admissions into tertiary institutions by virtue of Section 5, Subsection 1, Subsection 2 of the JAMB Act. In the judgment delivered in the suit filed by the Legal Defense and Assistance Project led up against JAMB, the Minister of Education and the National University Commission NUC, Justice John Soho, said that the defendants have no power whatsoever to allow or direct tertiary institutions to conduct further screening of candidates after they have taken the UTME. If you've just joined us, you're watching SuperScreen News at 8. We'll take a short break here, and when we return, we'll bring you business news. Just stay. Well, Well, it's so glad to have you back now in Business World. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Audu Obe, says Thailand has accused President Muhammadu Buhari's government of being responsible for the collapse of 87 rice mills as rice importation from Nigeria fell drastically. Ogbe discussed this at a meeting of the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative (PFI) and leadership of the Fertilizer Producers and Suppliers of Nigeria (FEPSAN), held at the Council Chamber of the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Ogbe said Thailand's ambassador to Nigeria made the accusation when he visited him in February. According to the minister, the ambassador lamented that the collapse of the rice mills has increased the unemployment rate in his country from 1.2% to 4%. Minister of State and Petroleum Resources Ibe Kachiko says the ongoing process of revamping the country's existing refineries is almost concluded. Speaking at the 2018 Oloibiri Lecture and Energy Forum (OLEF) organized by the Society of Petroleum Engineers (SPE), Kachiko disclosed the efforts aimed at improving the business environment in the petroleum industry have started to yield positive results. He also said the federal government has been able to attract investors into the entire petroleum industry value chain. A former chairman of the Senate Committee on Federal Capital Territory, Senator Smart Adeyemi, says the Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) between Kogi State Government and the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) on ethanol fuel would make the state a model for economic development. Adeyemi said that apart from providing jobs for more than 2 million people, the partnership, which would result in the construction of a refinery in the state, would make Kogi less dependent on federal allocation. The state government and NNPC signed the MOU in Abuja for the development of a biofuel processing plant that will produce 84 million litres of biofuel annually. Still talking business news tonight, Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel has called on Chinese investors to take advantage of the favorable economic environment in the state by exploring the abundant investment potentials for the benefit of Nigeria and China. Governor Emmanuel discussed this when the Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Zhou Pingjian, and other embassy staff visited the governor at the government house in Uyou. The governor identified agriculture, aviation, and the rich aquatic life in the state as some important areas which could be explored for the benefit of the two countries. Reacting to this, the Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Zhou Pingjian, acknowledged the cordial relationship between the country and Nigeria since 1971. Pingjian said the state has huge economic potentials which his country could tap into to deepen existing cooperation. He also noted that Beijing Summit of the Forum of China and Africa Development, which holds later this year, will help to encourage strategic partnership between China and Africa. Well, that's it in business news. We'll take another short break now, after which we'll bring you news from foreign, scene and sports. Don't go away. Well, it's so glad to have you back. Now, in international scene, police in Honduras have arrested a construction executive for his alleged role in the murder of